Hey guys, it's Deni. As always, finding friends to play co-op is not an easy task. You don't like the game, or the game seems fine, but everyone is busy. The stars have to align for you all to get together and play something. Especially when it comes to cooperative for 4 or more players, that's why we often play games solo. And today I'll give you 13 great solo games that are definitely worth playing. Click on the like, click on subscribe if you haven't already, and then let's go.
Do you miss adrenaline and dynamic gameplay? The perfect place to get it all? Good old Crossout. Tense battles, dozens of different vehicles, and hundreds of parts for their customization are waiting for you. You can make a powerful, bulletproof tank and destroy your enemies just by the look of it. Or make something smaller, but fast, and get in the back of unsuspecting enemies. In any case, Crossout is the best place to show everyone who is a real pro. Download the game at the link in the description.
Buck is a high school graduate with no job and no ambitions, who is forced to save humanity from an alien drug cartel led by the nefarious Garmentus. The hero arms himself with a talking gun and becomes an intergalactic treasure hunter. Buck travels to different corners of space, constantly getting not only new weapons but also abilities like jerk, jetpack, the ability to cling to ledges with his whip, and so on. In the early levels, some chests that hold collectibles and currency to buy upgrades cannot be opened at once. The point is that you'll have to go back for this stuff later. In general, it's not that important, but sometimes there may be something useful there. If to generalize, then you have a cool, maximally not standard in terms of visuals, with a mountain of jokes. Cool thing. And here before you is a major DLC for the game Call to Arms. It will immerse you in the battles on the Eastern Front during the Great Patriotic War. The cool thing is that there is an option to take control of absolutely any unit, with the first and third person view, or in general with the classic strategic view from above. And this trick is available on all types of armed vehicles and with all infantrymen. The game offers 12 historical missions, 30 PvE and PvP maps with a different set of military doctrines. By the way, for the extra picky, the game editor is included, including mod support and Steam Workshop. And all this with beautiful graphics. For strategies, such elaboration of details is a rarity. In principle, if you have at least one friend, you can take him with you in the re-release of the first part of the legendary Risk of Rain Returns. The developers have reworked it, and it became even bigger and better. New playstyles, unique loot, updated multiplayer mode, and much more. New survivors and gradual progression await you. I haven't actually played the first part before, only in the second, which is a 3-person view, and I in it received great pleasure, that in this one. And the content here is even more. The developers have collected 15 new characters for you. The cook can cut everything on his way, the defender to hold back enemies and cover his team, and the favorite monster, Acrid, to splash poisonous slime. In general, there are a lot of them, and the gameplay for each of them is different. Plus, in 2D, the game feels very different, so I recommend it as much as possible. If you haven't played Hogwarts Legacy, saved money there, or whatever, play it. Even if you are not a strong Harry Potter fan, the game is worth playing anyway. To begin with, you create a character, and then go to Hogwarts. Your character is a student who holds the key to an ancient secret that can tear the magical world apart. Find allies and fight dark wizards to decide the fate of the magical world. In practice, you are waiting for an open world with a large number of zones and places where you should go. There is a pumping and different classes and spells known to everyone, and everyone will learn, plus a lot of customization so you can look like a solid young man and as a bum, and the graphics are more than pleasant, one of the best games in recent times. And this, too, is one of the best games only in its genre, which is unusual to say the least. On the one hand, it's just a shooter where you're in hell slaying demons. On the other hand, in this hell, you have to do everything to the music, and the better you get into the rhythm, the more damage you do. A good set of guns is waiting for you, and each of them has its own ult. There is a storyline, very non-trivial, and just beautiful music in the background, and you can buy the game only for it alone, so it is so good. In general, I won't praise this masterpiece much, I will only say that it has 97% of extremely positive reviews in Steam, and this game is a must-have for anyone who likes Doom-style shooters and great music. And this is Tiny Tina's. Until the second part is made, we can enjoy the first part and plunge into the familiar world of Borderlands. In the game, you are waiting for a fabulous adventure created by Tiny Tina. As always, we create our own hero and go to beat up the villains using various weapons and spells. Together with Captain Valentine and Robot Fret, we will confront the Dragon Lord and other scum. You are waiting for a huge amount of assorted weapons, not a small pumping gun already familiar to our eye graphics, which looks cool at all times. In general, there is co-op here if you suddenly need it, but for solo gameplay, the game is also perfect. Sniper Elite for solo gameplay is also good, especially the 5th part. This is the next installment of the Legendary series, offering a great sniper simulator, third-person shootouts, and improved kill camera. We will fight in realistically recreated locations in France 1944, where the main character, sniper Carl Fairburn, joins the French resistance to weaken the German line of fortifications and oppose the secret Nazi project Kraken. Here, as in the last game, you can play solo and in co-op if you want. In general, by the way, this is a cool practice from the developers to make it possible to play with friends. Not enough for many games, let's return to the shootouts and in particular to the weapon. It can be modernized and improved, and the physics of shooting and movement reveals different weapons differently. Wind gusts, realism, breathing, and all this is here. Well, with cool graphics, at the output, you get the same cool game. This is Control. If you know Alan Wake, it might be a bit surprising for you that Alan Wake and Control are in the same universe, and although we won't meet Alan himself here, the game itself is just as cool. Once in the bureau, we realize that we're in the wrong place, especially when we find the corpse of the chief and a gun whispering something in the main character's ear. After that, we must confront the mysteries of a mysterious government agency, search for a missing brother, and uncover the truth behind all the events. On top of that, we unlock destructive abilities along the lines of telekinesis, allowing us to turn everything around us into dangerous weapons. It will be beautiful, dark, interesting, and quite dynamic when it comes to battles, and there will be plenty of them here. But in Nioh 2, there are more battles waiting for you. Here we create our own character and go to fight against the hordes of yokai. This is Sengoku Japan, which is my favorite time period of the developers because mostly all the game events take place there. To compare you, in Sekiro, all the events also take place in this period. Here we are waiting for something like Sekiro, although of course with more standard combat, as in the Souls-likes, but a little more dynamic in my personal opinion. Of course there is a pumping, and bosses a lot, and the world as a whole beautiful, and the final same play is quite difficult. All in all, a cool Souls bark. This game is probably one of the best in terms of physical interaction with the world. In short, it's a roguelike where you are a mage who decided to go underground and exterminate all living things. The coolest part is that every pixel in the world is modeled. You can burn, blow up, and melt anything, and even swim in the blood of your enemies. The world is simulated, and if you die, it's simulated again, with new enemies, materials, and opportunities for destruction. On top of that, you can suddenly create magic on your own, and the lower you go down, the more varied it will be. From banal fair ball to lightning strike or magic wand with fireworks. In fact, with so many spells, I personally had a lot of situations where instead of the enemy, I killed myself. In short, it will be fun. What do you think about flying? For example, in Ace Combat 7, where you can sit at the helm of some fighter jet, shoot missiles, flying in the air, and feeling like an ace. The important thing to say is that the game is as arcade as possible. There are no hundreds of switches and toggle switches as in some Microsoft flying simulator, but there is a lot of action, no story, and 20 plus different missions, which are kind of similar to each other, but each with some zest. A little bit of realism of course there is, like landing, refueling, and this all, but it's little things. Visually it looks really good, and in general you can fly, fight, and have fun without any problems. On the subject of enjoyment, by the way, if you suddenly missed by some miracle one of the best re-releases in our universe, then 100% go play Resident Evil 4, especially since there, in addition to the original game, a new DLC about the sexiest lady since Lara Croft has been released. DLC about Ada Wong, where you can play as her and see all the events happening on her behalf. Basically, it's a full-fledged new company, but only in duration is not very big. About 7 to 8 hours of leisurely gameplay, and if you are not familiar with the game at all, it is Resident Evil about Leon Kennedy, in which it will be a little bit scary, a little bit beautiful, and very interesting. Foxes, beavers, lizards, humans, and harpies help each other survive in this game. And no, it's not the ramblings of a crazy person. This is against the storm. Here, you are the viceroy of the local queen, appointed by her to subdue the barren wastelands and find the lost treasures of the smoldering city. In most city building simulators with survival elements, you manage just one city, but here your task is to build a huge network of thriving settlements, which will be inhabited by different fantasy peoples with different lifestyles, needs, and skills, and you will have to gather this hodgepodge under a single wing and how to meet their needs, because if you don't, everyone dies. Although death in the same expeditions is normal, because the game is suddenly also roguelike, albeit a simplified one. How it is incorporated into the gameplay you will find out for yourself, but the game itself is just beautiful, like most of today's games, so I hope that you found something interesting for you, and therefore clicked on the like and subscribe too. Well, with you was as always Deni, and all the best.